magic of the Cybernet Space Cube, the computer-enhanced podcast of the future. Transformers Slag Podcast. What's up, everybody? How we all doing this Saturday night? It's the Transformers Slag Podcast Saturday night live stream main event. I'm your host, Proto Man. I'm this ugly face that runs this crazy Transformer place. I'm the voice that you hear Monday to Friday, and now you got to deal with this face on your Saturday night. Could you do worse? Maybe. But you're stuck with me for the next couple of hours. So we're going to talk about some Transformer news. We had a little bit of news this week. We got some stuff that we got picked up. We have an EVIL Black Repaint that leaked from the Vietnam factories, and we'll kind of talk into that a little bit. But it's nice to see everyone. Everyone's here today. We got some of the green text of the YouTube members. We got some of our Patreon people here. It is going to be an enjoyable little evening. And 2 Hasbro people here popped in. Very good, very good. Let's do that, shall we? So we got some business news we got to talk about. I covered it a little bit this week, but I just kind of want to reiterate it. And, again, if you guys want to add to the conversation, again, the super chat is down there below if you want to speak something, and I will read it out loud into the zeitgeist that is the Transformer world. So, shall we? So, the first one we're going to talk about is Hasbro has recently started talking about the future of their media brands. And one of their media brands is that of Transformers. And we got to this kind of point where, there's things are going to be changing going into the next year. Now, we don't know what those changes are, but it was something that was addressed in the Bloomberg report just a couple of days ago. Bloomberg is a finance report. It's also very deep into stockholders and all that craziness that we don't really care about, but it does affect our Transformer brand. And with the passing of the previous CEO of Hasbro, Brian Goldner, a lot of things are going to be changing over the next couple of years. Now, keep in mind, the big thing that we have to take away here with Brian Goldner being the CEO of Hasbro in the past was he also was part of the board of directors with Paramount Global. And him being there on the board of directors was a big reason why we had our success with our Transformer movies and why we had Transformer movies quite regularly in the zeitgeist of things. Now that Brian isn't with us anymore and that spot in the board of directors is absent, combined with the fact that we kind of had some unsuccessful entries from Hasbro within Paramount, being that the Snake Eyes movie that passed really didn't do very well, didn't make a lot of money. Hasbro, they lost themselves in terms of toy sales. No one wanted those Snake Eyes toys. Those are on clearance right now. And even the Bumblebee movie didn't perform as well as it had hoped. And, granted, the Bumblebee movie had a lower budget, which they felt would have been making it safe, but they actually broke even on the Bumblebee movie when you factor in advertising and everything like that. So Paramount really, really, really wasn't happy with 2 of those Hasbro brands that they were putting money into to make these movies. And Brian was a big part of pushing and pushing and pushing that even in the face of failure, there is success that could come with it. Now, there's a Dungeons and Dragons movie that's also going to be coming out. And then, of course, next year in the summer, we're going to be having Rise of the Beasts. So there's also that kind of issue that's going on too. Now, also at the end of this year in late 2022, the 5-year contract with Paramount and Hasbro is going to expire. Now, they've refreshed this contract many times before. The question is, will they refresh it again? They kind of planned it that they would be able to have this conversation after Rise of the Beast came out, when Rise of the Beast was going to be a 2022 movie release. That was not the case because of a certain pandemic and the Big V. And now we're in our 2023 waiting situation for our Beast Wars live action movie. Combined with the fact that also E1 Entertainment, which is the company that Hasbro bought out a couple of years ago to kind of build their library, their CEO stepped down recently, which also makes us go, A lot of bad stuff going on there. Not doing well. And E1 Entertainment, in terms of what was related to Transformers, was they were kind of instrumental behind the War for Cybertron Netflix series, which unfortunately wasn't very well received. And Netflix was like, hey, we got a spike of viewers at the beginning and it was trending. And then when people started to watch it, no one really went past episode 1. That's what they kept noticing. It was trending for episode 1, maybe episode 2 of Siege or Earthrise or Kingdom, but they noticed that a lot of people who were streaming it never finished it, despite the fact that these were only 6-episode bursts per series. And that didn't look good for E1 Entertainment and Netflix. They were going, I don't know. I don't know. So E1 is also going to be co-producing Rise of the Beast, so they're also going to be involved with that. And they even mentioned that supposedly we're supposed to be getting some kind of CG animated Transformer movie in 2024, but we still have no information on that. So it's looking pretty weird right now. It's looking pretty weird. And again, with Bumblebee breaking even and Snake Eyes being a bomb and losing, I think it was like over $100 million. It's kind of shaky. And when you even look at some of Hasbro's other brands, let's say Paramount says, hey, you know what, we're going to stick with Hasbro because even though Transformers didn't do well, and even though, like, like we lost tons of money on Snake Eyes and G.I. Joe, well, what about their other brands? And all you have to do is look at some of the other Hasbro brands. Battleship, which was done through Universal Studios, that lost them tons of money. They did that Gem movie, which was done through Allspark Pictures, which did absolutely terrible and completely destroyed Allspark Pictures, which got merged into E1 ultimately in the end. The director there, John Chu, who did Gem, now they put him on a Play-Doh movie. I don't even know what's going to go on a Play-Doh movie, people. A Play-Doh movie. A Play-Doh movie. In another time, in another place, there is a doughy world where Play-Doh is going on. And then we have the blue Play-Doh versus the red Play-Doh. What will happen? We don't know. John Chu, the director of Gem, I guess, did you buy it in the $5 bin at Walmart? Anyways, John Chu is Play-Doh, the movie. I don't know. What are they thinking? But whatever. They want to do a Play-Doh movie, they're going to do a Play-Doh movie. But I mean, just looking at that, and it's not looking good. So what this pretty much ends with is we better hope, we better hope that that we better hope that that Rise of the Beast movie does well. That's pretty much the sum of it. Is we better hope that that Rise of the Beast movie does well, because if it does not do well, I think in a lot of ways, I think that I think we're going to have to see if maybe Hasbro might have to shop around at other studios. And that's where I kind of worry, because when you look at what's available still, it's like Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal, DreamWorks, it's kind of scary, like it's kind of scary to see, because like Paramount, they had a good thing with Hasbro, and I want to believe that they're going to want to continue that relationship, but we don't know. We really don't know in a lot of ways. So we're going to have to see what happens with that, but it's pretty tight, crazy stuff. Also want to give a shout out. I forgot to mention anyone who saw on my Twitter or anything, the Shattered Glass little animation teaser for the live stream today, that was done by Fusion Fandom. So I just want to give a shout out to him too. Totally forgot I was supposed to say that at the top. I apologize, Fusion Fandom. So shout out to him. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We're going to learn more about this. I'm definitely going to update you guys as time progresses on the podcast if any new developments happen with E1 Entertainment and Paramount. I like Paramount as a company. I think they have a really good streaming service too. I like Paramount Plus. They're no Tubi, but what's it called there? Kiss Asia or whatever. But still, you know, we'll see what happens. But then there's also another thing. There's also another issue that's going on, and that's the issue that's happening with Hasbro and their distribution problems. Now, they had an interview with Kids Magazine, which was a Canadian-based online magazine, and they were talking with them about what was going on with the distribution of toys, how a lot of stuff got affected by the distribution of toys, and how it made Hasbro really have to reflect on what's going to be going on in the future when they have toys that are related to media brands. And what that is essentially is this isn't going to affect our studio series stuff. This isn't going to affect our generation stuff, whether it be Legacy or Kingdom or whatever. This might not affect most of our buzzworthy Bumblebee stuff, but this will affect any Transformer lines that are related to media brands, whether it be Earthspark that we're going to be getting, Rise of the Beast, the BotBots show, or even like we could in post we could talk about even Cyberverse. We got a super chat here from Lord Soundwarp. I like that name, Soundwarp. Quick note, European market is flooded with rare Velocitron figures. Don't know if it's a distribution issue or us hadn't caught up yet. Well, also distribution market in Europe is different from country to country. So where that would be specifically in the European market would also be a helpful piece of information. Because somewhere like Germany would obviously have a much smaller population report than, let's say, somewhere like the UK that's a lot more dense. So that's also a kind of a whole other issue. But thank you for that information, Lord Soundwarp. But getting back into the distribution thing, so they were talking about how they're going to have to really reevaluate how they're going to be handling waves and releases of these media related Transformer products. Now, I'm saying media related Transformers, but it's going to affect their G.I. Joe brands if there's media related G.I. Joe brands or anything like that. If they have a media related line that has a TV show or has a movie, they're going to have to reevaluate how they put out that product because of what's been going on. David Cabal says here, what's up, Protoman? Love the Derek J. Wyatt 2009 interview. Do more of those. David, I can't exactly do more of those with Derek, but if I do find any lost material, that was a freak case because someone had some lost footage. I didn't know that I was being recorded during that live stream back in 2009. Not live stream, just live recording. And thankfully, that individual combined with my crappy audio quality were able to kind of put something together. So hopefully, you never know. Maybe there's something found in the archives. You never know, David. You never know. But we'll see. We'll see. But getting back to what I was saying. So we have this thing where they're pretty much talking about how like what we're gonna see in the future is we're probably gonna see smaller waves. Like we're gonna have like, okay, instead of here's a wave, and that wave is gonna have, 12 different items across a whole bunch of different price points. And then we're gonna have another wave, and it's another 12 items, and we'll have like 4 waves in a year. And just in that one segmentation, let's call it Legacy, but not Legacy probably wouldn't be a good example because that's not a media brand. But like let's say Rise of the Beasts. And that segmentation of Rise of the Beast normally would have 12 items per wave, and there's 4 waves in a year, which leads to easily, 48 different products in a year just for that segmentation of Rise of the Beast, 48 products a year just for Allspark, 48 products just a year, if not more, for BotBots or any other TV series. So it kind of enters this kind of situation. What's up, Larry? It kind of enters this situation where they're probably going to want to cut down on that because they're worried that a TV show comes out, distribution isn't good because of all different kinds of now factors, and the show comes out, the show is a Netflix show, it's a streaming show, it's done, it's all dropped in one shot, people consume it, and then it's gone and no one talks about it, and then the toys aren't even out yet, and then when the toys come out, no one is interested because of distribution problems, and as a result, the toys don't sell well. Now, to give an example, let's use BotBots. BotBots is a very weird one. The toys came out 3 years in advance before any kind of show was even conceived. Mistake number one, and I've talked about this many times on the podcast. Then when the show actually did come out, they dropped all the episodes in one day. So everyone just kind of watched it all in one day. And then literally still to this day, as of this recording, and BotBots has been out on Netflix for what, like 3 months now, 2 months now? And yet there still is no new BotBots product in retail. There's not even BotBots product at all in retail unless you have like dead inventory from Series 4 kicking around still. And imagine you watch the show, you watch the media, now you want to consume the product and you have no access to it in retail. Not a good look. That's not how you should do business. And it's kind of the same thing. There's this worry that Earthspark is going to debut in November. And then when Earthspark debuts in November, what happens if all of a sudden that inventory isn't available? That's crazy. You know, what if that inventory is not available? People are going to be excited about Earthspark. They won't be able to buy it. And then when that product does come out, when that wave one does hit, Earthspark is now 6, 8 weeks old. And the way the world moves so quickly, people won't be interested. And then they will, they will just move on with their lives to something else. And that's a big problem. That's a very big problem because you got to get them when they're excited. They have to make those impulse purchases. Not like, look, the people that are sitting with me today and talking, we are hardcore fans. We always stay with the brand. We talk about it all the time. We're buying online. We're going on Hasbro Pulse. We're checking listings on eBay. We're in forums. We're trading. We're buying. We're doing all of that stuff. But we make up only a small percentage of what is the bread and butter of Hasbro's inventory, which is the casual fans, the mom and pops, the impulse purchases because someone had a birthday and then they saw that show and said, "Hey, maybe they'd like that," and that stuff is available to purchase. They used to talk about it in wrestling, where like, if a wrestler is on television and they don't have an action figure in stores, and then by the time that action figure comes out, the wrestler is not even with the company anymore. That's a big loss for both the toy company, for the stores, because then that wrestler's figure just kind of sits around. It's all about timing. And the thing with wrestling is it's real life against the lead time of toy distribution and toy creation. So that's one thing. But when you're talking animation, you're talking movies, you could control that and you could time it because there's no rush. There's no real person that, has to do live events in some kind of stadium. So there's something where you could create a show and then wait till the product is ready and then put it out accordingly. And they're going to do that, but they're also going to do smaller waves. They're going to try to be smarter about it. And hopefully it'll lead to everyone being happy. Hopefully, we'll be able to watch of the Rise of the Beast movie and then have Rise of the Beast product that we can literally go out and buy. I remember watching Marvel Infinity War with a whole bunch of my friends and then literally walking out of the movie theater. And literally, the only thing that was still open after we walked out of the movies was one of our late night Walmarts. And we walked into that Walmart and it's Proto Man, so he's going to go to the toy section. And I remember going into that toy section, and there was all that Infinity War merchandise and action figures. That's smart stuff because here's day one, the release of the Infinity War movie, and bam, there it is, the product on the shelves. People can make an impulse purchase. They could buy a Thanos figure, they could buy an Infinity Gauntlet, whatever they want, but you need to have that kind of stuff. If you have to make people then wait 3 months to pick up a Thanos figure, they've already moved on in their lives. I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about the casual fans. I'm talking about the casual, they're here to visit our fandom. They're here to look around. They're here to enjoy, but they're not going to stick around if you don't give them their first hit of the drug that is the plastic crack that is toy collecting. So that's something that they addressed. I'm very curious how they're going to approach that stuff in the future because there is still so much that we still don't know in terms of Rise of the Beast product. Like it's so weird. It's so weird. But again, that movie being delayed, it's crazy when you think about it. Because think about all this other Beast related product we've been seeing. The Monopoly game, the Metal Figs by Jada, all the different kinds of the Beast Wars reissues. There's all this Beast product that's been coming out recently because those things were planned to come out with a Rise of the Beast movie that would have had that Beast flavor. And look how all of that stuff is alone with no actual movie to help kind of supplement it and create that kind of interest. So it's kind of nuts. It's kind of nuts, but it is what it is. David Cabal says the casual fan that wears a Hot Topic shirt but doesn't know the material. Brother, I remember once um I'll never forget this. I will never forget this, David. I was in college. This is going to show you how old I am. But I was in college. Oops, that was not the slide I was supposed to post. I was in college back in 2001. I'm an old man, and I remember I was in my math class. I was in computer science, and there was a guy wearing a Decepticon shirt. And I remember going like, and this is 2001. There's no Michael Bay movies. Transformers Armada is on TV. Actually, I don't think Armada was out yet. I think Car Robots, Robots in the Skies was still the new hotness. And this guy had a Decepticon shirt, and I went up to him and I'm like, "Oh, hey, do you like Transformers? I know you have a Decepticon shirt." He's like, "Oh, this? I don't know. I just thought it looked cool." There's a lot of guys that are like that. There's a lot of guys, you'll see their car, they'll have a Decepticon logo right on their gas cap or a sticker on the back, but they're doing it as a casual fan. And that's totally fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but there's different levels of fans. There's different levels of fans who have different ways of engaging. And the truth of the matter is this chunk is the casual fan, and this chunk, unfortunately, is us. So they have to market to that larger chunk because that's where the money's at. Why do you think the Wii made so much money compared to the PS3 and the Xbox when those three systems went against themselves in the video game console wars? Because the Wii targeted the casual audience, which made up 80% of the gaming world at the time, who didn't engage with hardcore gaming. So, anyways, let's get into the next segment. I already kind of leaked it right there to you guys, but let's talk about Magnificus. This was kind of the thing we were going to talk about. Oh, we got a super chat here. Let's jump into the super chat. We got Ibrahim Pomares. I apologize if I said that incorrectly, Ibrahim. Hi, Proto. First time chatting. Do you think Hasbro would produce concept figures based on the unused 86 movie designs as was shown at BotCon recently? It's not really that they'll, you know what? We kind of got something like that. Like to give an example, the powered convoy, the red Ultra Magnus, if you will. There's the notification. Sometimes it's delayed. The powered convoy, that color scheme that was shown in the trailer and it wasn't used with the actual 86 movie. That got produced, but of course that was based off of an old Diaclone color scheme. Sometimes that stuff happens, like when you look at, there's a lot of times where prototype colors for Transformers end up being used later on for other purposes. The GoBots repaint of Cosmos was based off of an old color scheme for Cosmos that never got used. The GoBots color scheme for, I think, Warpath, aka Treads, I think was another example too, or Pathfinder was the Cosmos repaint. So I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure that we're going to be in a situation where certain color schemes, certain weird designs will find their way. I'm trying to think of another wacky one. The prototype colors for RC were once used in a third party figure. I actually own that one. So that's not an official Hasbro creation, but they find their way somehow. When there's an excuse to do a design or do something weird, it happens. I mean, the best example is when you look at background characters and how those end up getting toys sooner or later. So if unused designs based off of, top tier characters happen, sure, why not? Sure, why not? Thank you for the super chat, by the way, and hope to see more in the future from you, my friend. We got another one from Joseph Ritter with the super chat for 5 bones, and Joseph wants to know, based on your jacket, is it true Canadians still is how USA was in the 1980s? By the way, the 80s were the best. I think the 90s were best, even though I grew up in the 80s. No, this is just a cool denim jacket that I own and has flames on it. So, you got to be hot rod, you know. Just a cool jacket. I like this. I don't know. It's a nice jacket, but I don't know about that shirt. That shirt is kind of bogus. Symbiote Studio shirt. No, I love the Symbiote Studio shirt. But the 80s were awesome. The 80s were awesome. The 90s were awesome. I'm just biased, just because it was a time where the internet wasn't too crazy yet. I mean, even in the 90s, I had the internet starting 1995. And it's I'd go back if I could. I've said this before on the stream. If I could go back, I'd live 1997 in perpetual loop, Groundhog Day, until the end of time. Horned Owl. I had an Autobot symbol on the back of my car, 2006 Scion. You're doing the old alternator skids. since I bought it in 2007. Same symbol, never had to replace it. You know what's funny? People know me, I'm a big car guy. Have cars, love cars, fix cars. Never put an Autobot logo on any of my cars. I don't know why. I don't know why. And you'd think, because I kind of like this brand, you know, but never did it. Never did it. I don't know why. Just never did. Never did. But it is what it is. But yeah, so let's get back into Magnificus. And so we have this black repaint that leaked out recently. Um, this is from one of the factories in Vietnam, based off of Magnificus, the e-hobby figure. And I kind of went into the Proto Man archives to pull this out. So this was the original Magnificus e-hobby. Obviously, he's missing over there for reasons, because he's right here. So this was a black repaint done by e-hobby back in 2005. I want to say it was. Was it 2005 Magnificus? Well, yeah, I think it was 2005. During the time when eHobby was taking a lot of those G1 reissues and just, you know, doing repaints and making brand new characters. Still works. And he was just this evil repaint of Perceptor that came with a little, yeah, it was 2005 because it came with this Microman figure named Jamedo, Jimeda, how you could pronounce it in Japanese. And it was to celebrate, the 20th anniversary at the time of Transformers. So having some Microman and Perceptor representation, because Perceptor was a Microman designed by Yoketron, and it was his favorite design. And having a Microman figure also creates that connection. So you have that. You have that kind of cool stuff. And then they did here. I'll show you. They did that on the right. They did that Perceptor I just showed you guys. They did the black repaint of the Reveal the Shield version. I believe that was in 2015. And they did the Super 7 one. We got a super chat from Mikey, $5. Super chat saying, "Hey Proto, awesome podcast as always. If Rise of the Beast bombs, what effects do you think it'll have on future plans for Beast Wars product?" Well, I think all the Beast Wars product will uh will still be fine because that stuff is planned almost a year and a year and a half in advance. So even if Rise of the Beast fails, like Rise of the Beast comes out in July and they don't really know how well it does in terms of sales because see, oh man, it gets into other great discussion that Matt Damon did a while back. He was doing Hot Ones. If anyone remembers Hot Ones, is that where the celebrities eat hot wings? But I'll get into that in a moment. But anyways, if it doesn't do well, they won't find out until probably November of 2023. So by then, all that Beast Wars product would have came out. There's number one, it would have came out or have already been produced and ready to come out. So I think it'll obviously affect Beast Wars product going forward into 2024 and 2025, but in the short term, not so much so. But Matt Damon, he did a really good interview. And he said something that he said that really sucks today when it comes to movies is that streaming services, Netflix, all of this stuff destroyed the movie industry. And he said because it used to be you could put out a movie and that movie could have, like, just for simple math, the movie has a budget of $100,000, $100 million, right? Movie has $100 million budget, and then you put the movie out in theaters and it makes $200 million in theaters. Now you would say to yourself, "Oh wow, that's a success because it made $200 million on a $100 million budget." That's not a success because there was advertising. There was, all the actors had to do the junkets and go around to promote the movies. And those companies, people don't realize when you have Matt Damon sitting in a chair on whatever, like let's say the Tonight Show. Like when he's sitting in that chair talking about a movie that he's advertising, those movie companies paid the Tonight Show to have him there to show clips to show off his movie. So it's all a giant advertisement blitz. And he said that so that alone eats up a huge chunk of the revenue of that 200 million that you would say would have been a profit. He said it used to be great because then you had the video market afterwards. Blockbuster would buy a whole bunch of DVDs. All the video stores would buy a whole bunch of DVDs. Every Walmart would buy DVDs. People would buy DVDs. When the DVD and rental market disappeared, when rentals didn't become a thing anymore, when, you go to a Blockbuster back in the 90s, they had like 50 copies of a movie. That single Blockbuster bought 50 copies of a movie. That single Walmart bought 100 copies of a movie. Like, it got to a point where when people weren't buying DVDs anymore and everything was streaming all in one place, all of a sudden that huge revenue, it was like a movie coming out a second time. You would have a movie come out, it makes $100 million, and then it would come out on VHS or on DVD or on Blu-ray, and then it would make another $100 million just on the sales of DVDs and VHSs. When that world disappeared, all of a sudden it became tougher to make movies. All of a sudden it became tougher to make unique movies, have unique ideas. Now it's like, hey, let's just do something safe. Let's do a sequel, a reboot based on a book, based on a cartoon. They don't want to make unique ideas anymore. Something like Star Wars back in the 70s would have not happened today. Something like Blade Runner back in the 80s would have not happened today. It's crazy. It's crazy, but that's a reality, man, and it's brutal. And so I worry that if Rise of the Beast doesn't do well, what I think is going to happen is Hasbro is going to take a step back and really reevaluate. Like, what's happening to GI Joe right now at Hasbro is what would happen to Rise of the Beast and Transformers if that doesn't do well. Because right now Hasbro has taken a step back and went, "What do we do with GI Joe?" We did a GI Joe movie. It did okay. We did a second one with The Rock. The Rock. You think how could you not do well with The Rock? And it didn't do well. Then they're like, okay, well, then let's do ninjas. Let's not do army. Let's do ninjas. And they did ninjas. It didn't do well. So they're in this kind of situation where, like, we got to do something with GI Joe. We don't know what it is, but we got to do something. They did a video game that was kind of similar to Fortnite, with the Nintendo Switch. It was one of these kind of arena shooters. It didn't do well. They have cell phone apps. They're trying to see, they're trying to do something with the GI Joe brand and find a place for it. Yes, Classified is doing well. Yeah, it's doing great with the adult collectors, and the HasLab thing did amazing with the His Tank. Such a small percentage. Us hardcore collectors are such a small percentage of it. You know, it's such a small percentage. And you have to put yourself in that situation where you can't say, well, I like it and I'm buying it, so it's clearly doing well. Let me tell you guys, I'm a big fan of a lot of weird brands that don't do well. Street Sharks didn't do well. King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, you're probably like, what the hell is that? Botsmaster, Cowboys of Moon Mesa. Well, reboot did okay. Shadow Raiders, no one watched Shadow Raiders. I love those things, but I also recognize that those things don't do well. I'm a minority in that world of that junket, and you kind of end up in that kind of situation where a lot of these things, you need the mass audience to enjoy it. And if they don't enjoy it, you're losing their dollars, and you need their dollars. That's why I've always said the Michael Bay movies, as bad as they were so important because it wasn't targeted at us. It wasn't targeted at us, the hardcore Transformer. It was targeted at the mom and pop, dumb demographic, simple-minded, would never have watched Transformers unless it was a simple live action movie. If those Transformer movies were CG movies and they were stories on Cybertron and they were only about Cybertron and the deep stories, we would have went to see it. We would have loved them. But the mainstream audience would have been like, oh, it's just a cartoon. I'm not going to go see it. You got to simplify. You got to aim it at the common demo. It's sad, but it's true. It's sad, but it's sadly true. So it's something where, as it stands, if it doesn't do well, Rise of the Beast, they're going to take a step back and they're going to go, what do we do with this Transformer brand? Do we double down on the cell phone games? Do we put Transformers into a TCG? Do we work more on Transformer video games? Because video games are the future. Do we make a Transformer arena shooter? Do we really focus on doing something like that? Do we like put out less Transformer product and focus Transformers just on the adult collectors, because clearly the mainstream don't care anymore. Kind of like what's happening with GI Joe. It's something, and you have to understand, Transformers is their number one brand behind Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering with Wizards of the Coast is their number one moneymaker, but number two is Transformers. So for them to really have a funky place with it, they're going to have to figure something out. But that's if Rise of the Beast doesn't do well. That's if it doesn't. This is a big if. because the way I see it is we've had look, Bumblebee came out in 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2000, excuse me, didn't come out in 2008, it came out in 2018. Brain fart here. 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. It's been 5 years since the mainstream audience has heard of Transformers in a movie theater. That is the longest we've ever gone without a Transformer movie since the 1986 movie. Because when we had 2007 movie, 2009 movie, 2011 movie, 2013 movie, 2015, 2018, we always had something every 4 years, or less. They were always giving us movies, always keeping us busy. So now we have this gap. It's been 5 years. The world went crazy. You know, the it's we're hoping that people have seen the absence of Transformers and now they want more Transformers. And the 90s kids that grew up that are now in their 20s, now they want to engage with Beast Wars and that brand that they grew up with back in the late 90s. So let's kind of like hope that we end up in that kind of situation and scenario, and then maybe we'll find success, it'll do well, and then that movie does well, and then Transformers could find a new kind of spark in a new direction, no pun intended, and Hasbro could take a step back and go, you know what? Maybe the 90s is where it's at. Maybe we got to do an Armada movie. Who knows? Maybe focus more on Beast Wars, do some trans metals. Who knows? Who knows? But we'll see. We got a super chat from Cringe McCringle. It's going to pop up any moment here. It's always a delay recently today. I don't know what's going on. Cringe McCringle with the super chat for the 5 bones. Hey, Proto, happy Saturday. Glad to get off work early and watch the stream. Hey, man, getting off work early is the shiznit. First week of school went well. Ready for it to be over already, though. Well, it's school is important. You're gonna look back, trust me, my friend, and you're gonna miss being in school. You're gonna miss like the fun and the freedom that you had, because when you're working to survive, it's a different grind. Let me tell you. But nice to see you in the super chat. Thanks for the $5 bones, my friend. Thanks for the love and support. But let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. It is what it is, but we'll see what happens. We kind of got off. We kind of got off topic about a certain black repaint. But let's get back to it then. So again, this Magnificus. Hey man, you know what? When we have good discussions, when we have that's what I love about the stream. I mean, look, we have a good already almost 150 people in here. Like when we have good discussions, when we have good talks, that's all that really matters. I want to always give you guys something in terms of content that the Transformer world just doesn't give you. That's why the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer, the other podcast I do, we're giving you something straight from Hasbro's core that the rest of the content creators can't give you guys. So I hope you guys always have a good time. That's all I'm saying, yo. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, back to the Evil Black repaints. So this one here, this is all we got right now. We got these 2 photos from Vietnam, and you could clearly see that it has a brand new head sculpt on it. So it's doing the true to form, toy accurate head sculpt. Obviously, this was based off of the original Perceptor, which you can't see him. He's up there somewhere. And this is all up there. This is like, what do we got here? This is the 87, 80, 85, 86, and they got the 84 up there. But yeah, so again, you have the toy accurate head sculpt on it, which is cool. So you got a brand new head sculpt. That also leads to, if they want to use this mold and do a toy accurate Perceptor later with a different color scheme and do a buzzworthy Bumblebee release, they could do that. Because let's just pull this one up. I pulled everything out today, giggity. But so here's like, obviously we have our toy accurate head sculpt on there, and then of course we have the show accurate head sculpt on there, and then we got the toy accurate one. So have a nice little mix up there. That'll be really nice. It looks like everything else is exactly the same on it. Otherwise, you could see the gun in the background is just they painted the gun black, much like the original toy there. So this is a fantastic toy, by the way. This is a really, really, really good toy. If you haven't picked up Perceptor yet with Studio Series 86, I heavily suggest you do. It's a fantastic figure. Fantastic. And if they're going to do a black repaint that's like homaging the old let me just put it this way. Homaging the old e-hobby version, which I mean, I don't want to brag, but this guy goes for big money now. So if you could get something that's cheaper and a better figure, because this one will obviously be the articulated Generation Studio Series one, that's fantastic. It's going to be really good. Some people have said, well, isn't this going to be the shattered glass version? Because, again, if we go here, on the bottom right, you could barely see it on the bottom right, but that's the single panel where Shattered Glass Perceptor made his appearance. That was drawn by, I believe, Epson. Epson did that one there from IDW. And, that single, not actually, that was Fun Publications, excuse me. So, yeah, it does share the same color scheme, but this one here has a purple Decepticon emblem. So that means this is probably going to be, my guess, this is going to be a Generation Selects Magnificus. It would be really cool if it came with a G.I. Joe figure and we could get a G-Made with it, like, just have the pair together. That'd be really awesome. Um, that would be really, really cool. And we've already seen how they've already started pairing O-ring G.I. Joe figures with Transformers already with the crossovers. That'd be a really nice touch if they did that too. But I mean, I dig it. I think it looks really good. And this will probably be the cheapest way you could get this character, because if you look on the right there, the e-hobby one, that goes for crazy money now. The Reveal the Shield one in 2015, that goes for crazy money now. And the the Reaction Super 7 version, that was a Black Friday exclusive, which I think you could only get online. And I think that one now goes for like $35, $40. So if you want a semi-articulated 5 points of articulation, uh, non-transformable Perceptor, with his original micro change MC20 colors, then yeah, sure, get that one. But I would wait. I would wait. Get this bad boy right here when he does become public, and that'd be pretty awesome. I dig that a lot. I dig it a lot. Hey man, it's Magnificus, and that was, all these brand new characters. These brand new characters, the evil clone. The evil clone. I dig it. Maybe let's see if you guys could see me. One sec. Let's try to do that. Oh, there we go. There we go. It's not easy to do. I'm gonna fry my face. Anyways. But yeah, that's some hype stuff. That's some hype stuff. And that's pretty much it for the news, unfortunately, this week. That's all we really had. We do got some cool stuff we're going to talk about in a moment, but I mean, that's all we really got in terms of news. There wasn't a lot. Obviously, last week we had, this kind of situation where we had tons of news drop on us. We had that huge Transformer Tuesday. So it's absolute craziness. And we were packed last week, and this week obviously now we have just the little pieces here and there. But it leads to good discussions, at least with you guys. So it is what it is. So we'll go into quickly our sponsors for today. Again, our beautiful sponsors, Hasbro, and of course, Symbiote Studios, with our beautiful plush, our pins, and our t-shirts. I'm rocking the Freedom is the Rights of All Sentient Beings with Optimus. Get your Symbiote Studios t-shirts, your pins. Gotta love my Shockwave pin. Always keep it nearby. Your pins, your plushes, and everything like that. SymbioteStudios.com. Or check the pin description below and all that. I'll put the link so you can go buy yourself some Symbiote Studio stuff. They're our awesome sponsor, keeping the lights on for the pod. And of course, here's everything that they've put out thus far. Crazy collection. Get that Shockwave, because Shockwave's the best. Get that Shockwave, man. Don't you want to have the one-eyed dude just staring at you, judging you, wondering what you've done wrong with your life? Get them, of course. They're all awesome. Or the Seekers. They're brand new too. Everything's cool. Wave 5 is coming soon. Stay tuned for that. We're going to be the one who will break the news when Wave 5 comes out. It's going to be awesome. Some really cool characters in the near future. Who they are, we shall see. We shall see. And of course, hey, even people at Hasbro love the Symbiote Studio stuff. We got Isabella. She's rocking the Grimlock shirt. So you could get Grimlock. You could get the Grimlock plush. Be like Isabella. Be cool. Be a Transformer fan. Wear some Symbiote Studio stuff. And if you somehow don't like Transformers, and I've said this week after week, but what are you doing? But if not, there's also the G.I. Joe ones. I wore the Snake Eyes last week. There's the My Little Pony stuff. You got some Power Rangers. You have the brand new Power Ranger pins. Get the helmet collection. Or the Magic the Gathering stuff. I love my Magic the Gathering. So that's pretty hype too. Or you could even get the brand new Dragon Zord plush that just came out again on Symbiote Studios. Pretty hype. Pretty hype. And also, Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. If you have not watched, if you had not listened, we have our brand new episodes that are out. We have our episode with alternators. If you haven't checked it out, it's on the channel. So again, the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. It's a separate channel. Just hit Toy Armada with Aaron Archer in your search on YouTube, and it'll come up. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe that channel. It's me and Aaron Archer from Hasbro talking about the history of Transformers and other non-Transformer related and Kenner toy lines. You can learn about the history of Batman or Aliens or what was another one we did? Jurassic Park. A lot of cool stuff. A lot of cool stuff. The Total Justice one was really fun too. We have a brand new episode that we're editing right now. So be sure to stay tuned for that. We're going to hopefully, I'd like to get it done by the end of next week. So you have a brand new hour-long episode going deep into some more Transformer design and the secrets of behind the scenes of the robots in disguise from the 2000s. So be sure to check that out too. The Toy Armada with Aaron Archer and Proto Man. But it's more about Aaron Archer. Proto Man. And that's it. So what did we get this week? Two things, two cool things I got this week. There was a clearance sale going on at Marshall's. They were getting rid of all their current toy products because they're getting ready for the holiday blitz that's going to be happening in October, November, and of course December. So they were getting rid of a lot of their stuff. It was all red tag clearance, a lot of really cool stuff. So I heavily suggest if you do have a Marshalls in your region, or I believe in Canada, some of them are called Winners or Home Sense, or I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting another name for them. Um, it's one of these things where if you have one of those, go check it out because there's a lot of red tag sales. A lot of the Transformer stuff I already had, so it wasn't a big deal. But I picked up for $5 Canadian, which is like what, like a dollar American? I don't know anymore. I picked up a Super Mario Boomerang Bro. I always try to get all the Mario characters that I don't have in that 4-inch scale. So that was that wave. I picked up Magic Koopa a while back at full price. Never saw the Boomerang Bro, and of course I have these guys in SH Figure Arts because these work at the same scale with SH Figure Arts. So if you have the SH Mario, these are great. And Boomerang Bro is really cool. It comes with the little boomerang and stuff. Outside of Transformers, I love video game merchandise. My name's Proto Man. That comes from Mega Man. You know, I love my video game merch. So was really hyped. $5 Canadian. Jeez, you might as well just give it away. Give it away. Amazing. And this is what I got in the mail. And this one I wanted to show you guys. Actually, it's funny because I'm using a magic card as the bookmark. Oh, we got a super chat. Let me just get to that. I apologize. Detective Ferret with the super chat. What was the first and last Transformer figure with both lighting and sound? The first one that had well, some of them had lights but didn't have sounds. The first ones that had lights, I would have to say, let us go with because we had also motion, electronics and stuff, but there was no lights or sounds. Because when you're talking lights, excuse me, electronic motion, you're talking Omega Supreme. Omega Supreme was where it starts. He was a toy box figure, which technically wasn't Hasbro or Takara. It was something that was done by a Korean company. It was imported over there. So we have Omega Supreme. It was the first, like, electronic Transformer, but no lights or sounds. We probably would have to go to, oh God, the first lights and sounds. If you don't count a spark feature, like a spark bot, probably would end up in G2. G2 with the Optimus Prime. I am Optimus Prime, little voice box. And then, of course, it had little lights on it, too. And then, of course, that little blinking lights and stuff. And then the Megatron attack. Probably starts with G2. And the very last ones, there's stuff happening all the time that still have lights and sounds. Pick something from Cyberverse. Let me look at one of the Cyberverse Megatrons had light up a gimmick on it and talking stuff. I don't know. There's literally all kinds of talking stuff with so many things. But let me think. Also, Shockwave. Shockwave had lights and sounds. So yeah, and Shockwave also was a toy box. So Shockwave was also done by the Korean company Toy Box. So Shockwave also would probably be on that list too. Shockwave and Omega Supreme. And for the last ones, I don't know. You'd have to look at what's on the shelves right now because it's going to be some kind of gimmicky thing. You know, but for sure Shockwave and Omega Supreme, those two together, and those are Korean. Those weren't even Takara, because when you get into 1986, then everything is done by Hasbro, and then you start getting all that kind of stuff. And then, like I said, G2, you see that a lot more. Beast Wars, the only light and sounds with Beast Wars, you had the light up uh, Optimal Optimus. So Beast Wars had lights with that, with Optimal Optimus. When you get into Beast Machines, you had the Cheetor that had the light. He growled. He had the light up sounds and everything. The Supreme Cheetor. So it kind of falls into that. What up, Aaron? Welcome to the party. But so, anyways, hope that answers your question, Detective Ferret. But it's definitely for the other side of it. It's definitely going to be something that's going to be Cyberverse related. That has all the gimmicks and everything, and we're going to get more of that too with Earthspark. So, Bob Budiansky, the famous guy who pretty much was one of the godfathers of creating all the characters of Transformers. Not the designs, that was Koji Ono and Yoke-san. They were behind a lot of those. But in terms of creating those characters, writing those bios for the Marvel comics, which then, of course, were then transfixed into the fiction, whether it be the cartoons, the tech specs, or the comics, Bob Budiansky recently put out a book, very good book, fantastic book, especially if you're a fan of 90s stuff. It's called the Uncanny X-Men Trading Card Collection Book. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. Bob worked on this book with the famous Jim Lee. Jim Lee, who was a fantastic artist during the 90s. They put out this hardcover book that completely covers all the X-Men trading cards from the 90s. And what's cool about it, too, is it comes with a whole bunch of X-Men trading cards exclusively, a little pack. And it's the book itself is shaped like the original packaging of the box that it came with back in the day. The dust sleeve turns into a poster, nice little poster there and stuff, all with art by Jim Lee, and all of the bios that were written on the back of the cards, because it's a complete collection in full size. These are full size. This isn't the size, showing the art. All of the bios were written by Bob Budiansky. So it's this cool little book. Again, I wanted to bring it up because Bob had a large part to do with the Transformer world. He was one of the editors at the time at Marvel, and he worked on those trading cards done by Impel. And he mentions Transformers in this book. There's a whole bunch of chapters, all the white chapters there are all the wordy stuff. And Bob has all these chapters talking about how his work on Transformers really helped him with doing these X-Men trading cards. Really good book, very cheap book, a nice, awesome, thick hardcover book. It comes with trading cards, everything. I think it's like $25 on Amazon. Fantastic book. Definitely pick it up. And I use a magic card as a bookmark because I was reading the Bob chapters. It's my bedside reading. Fantastic book. Pick it up if you can. Really good. Really good. And that's more or less it. That's more or less. I just got those two things. Nothing else really. Still enjoying my T-Formers 2002 cent Nitro Convoy. People probably saw on my Instagram. I took a whole bunch of photos of that. It was really good. I hope to get a couple more of these. I'm going to try to get more of them so I could, have a whole army of them and everything. It's going to be crazy. Really looking forward to that. But yeah, it was some really good stuff, that book. So if you could pick it up, man, really good. If you're a fan of like old Marvel stuff from the 90s, the Impel trading cards, the 90s comics with Jim Lee, it's literally it's a Jim Lee art book. It's a Jim Lee art book written by Bob Budiansky. That's what it is, more or less. All the little bios are Bob Budiansky, and all the art is Jim Lee. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic book. So, anyways, we're going to open it up to the super chats and the YouTube questions, YouTube member questions. And what do we got? We got a good like 55 minutes left. So we'll ride out the rest of the day with that, and then we'll call it quits with my peeps. We will call it quits, and then we will relax for the rest of this Saturday night. So pretty cool, pretty cool, pretty cool. I haven't messed with this guy in a very long time. I bought him. I think I bought him back in 2005 or 2006 maybe. I picked him up, and these are like the beginning of Evil Black repaints. Like obviously it started with Black Convoy and everything back in 2000 2001, but pretty cool, pretty cool. And now you guys will get a better Magnificus, a way better one than this guy. You won't have to spend hundreds of dollars to get this one. I really hope it does come with a GI Joe member. That would just like top it more than anything, is to give you guys like a little GI Joe character. That'd be really really cool. Really hype, really hype. But I mean, the way that I see it, like how I imagine, I want to go back to what we were talking about before while I wait for like some of the super chats to come in. You know, I really hope that Rise of the Beast does well. Hasbro was smart by pushing it off though to 2023 because theaters still haven't really recovered. A lot of the smaller movie theaters kind of went out of business, unfortunately. So that also kind of hurt things. There was less theaters for movies to be in, so a lot of smaller cities that had, rely on that small theater didn't do well. So, it's we have to make sure, guys. I'm telling you, when this Rise of the Beast movie comes out, I know we're not going to single-handedly turn the tide. We won't. But we got to make sure this movie does well. If you are a Transformer fan and you go, I'll wait for it to come on Netflix. Bro, you are hurting it in more ways than you can imagine. If the hardcore fans are going, I'll wait for Netflix or I'll wait for Paramount or whatever, then we're in trouble. We are in big, big trouble. So we got to make sure that movie, like, look, and I actually forgot to mention this too. This is very important also. I'll probably pull up the slide. One sec. Let me. Um, On the top right there, we have the Brand Licensing Europe Expo of 2022. That's going to be happening in, I believe it's next month. Yeah, like in a couple, literally probably like less than a month from now. That's a very important expo. I just want to mention, because at the Brand Licensing Expo, the past two movies, the first time we ever saw information or photos about those movies, the Bumblebee movie and The Last Night, was at the Brand Licensing Expo in Europe. So if we're going to get any new stuff or new information about Rise of the Beasts, it's probably going to be at this Brand Licensing Europe Expo. So keep that in mind, guys. September 20th to the 22nd, something's going to pop up. We're going to probably get to see some early designs and finally see how our Beast characters look and everything outside of early toy leaks that still don't tell us too much. So, should be very interesting. Very, very interesting. So, keep that in mind too. We got one of our YouTube members, David Cabal, asking, "Hey, Proto Man, what do you think of the Street Fighter Power Rangers? I want a Ken and Red Ranger mix." So yeah, I saw those. The Ryu and Chung Li ones are pretty awesome. I actually got Louis, one of my buddies, to pick up the Chung Li for me off of Hasbro Pulse. I don't know if they're going to do others because those two, the Ryu and the Chung Li, they were actually based off of a mobile game, Power Rangers mobile game that they did a crossover with Capcom. Capcom, I don't know if you heard, I've said this many times. Recently, Capcom they've been giving their license to everybody. Like the joke is, what license hasn't crossed over with Street Fighter at this point? GI Joe has crossed over with Street Fighter. Transformers has crossed over with Street Fighter. Now Power Rangers is crossing over with Street Fighter. What else? Ninja Turtles has crossed over with Street Fighter. When are we going to get our Power Rangers WWE crossover? I'm pretty sure they're going to do all of that. So um, I'm pretty sure if those are successful, I know that the Ryu, it's sold out on Hasbro Pulse. I don't know if the Chung Li sold out yet, but I know the Ryu sold out. If they sell out like crazy and then they justify to put more characters on the mobile game, like you said, a Ken that turns into the Red Ranger, that'd be pretty awesome. Have a Shoryuken Shinyuken Super One or Shoyu the other Super One. Um, that'd be pretty cool. I don't know how they do it. Like maybe give him the Dragon Shield. That'd be pretty awesome for Ken Masters. Who else we could do? Who else we could do? Obviously Blanca for Green Ranger. Yeah. Blanca for Green Ranger, blue with what would be blue? Dalsim had a blue alternate color scheme in Champion Edition. Who would be blue? Who am I forgetting from Street Fighter that could be blue? Because Cammy is still like a green. Fei Long is like a brown black. DJ is like a brown orange. Who would be blue? I know I'm forgetting somebody. Oh, Ken has alternate colors in blue. Ryu had a blue headband in his alternate colors. Chung-Li would have been blue, so I guess Chung-Li covers blue. But I mean, I think they're cool. I think they're really cool. I really like the Lightning collection. Obviously, I just don't have the space for it. The only Lightning collection figure I bought was the Omega Ranger, aka Deca Break from Deca Ranger. So those are pretty cool. But yeah, I think they're awesome. I like when I see stuff like that. I see the Ninja Turtle ones. I see them in Toys R Us. This is Canada, so we have Toys R Us still. So I think they're awesome, and I'm getting the Chung Li. So I think she looks really cool. I love Chung Li. Tom Laney, YouTube member question with the green YouTube member. I love his little hot rod emblem. I need a new fan. We need a new fan vote. Maybe give us options for HasLab or new characters to be made. Well, Aaron Archer actually was involved with the very first fan vote. He's in the chat here today. That was the Windblade one. Um, you know, a a HasLab fan vote would be crazy in the sense that we would probably have to do the vote, and then there's going to take a minimum of a year of development or 6 months because it would have to be a big item. If it's HasLab, it's going to be a big crazy item. And a big crazy item that's voted on by the fans. Ooh, that's a risky one. I don't know. It's one thing when the fan vote items like a deluxe figure or something, and that deluxe figure could get repainted into like 7 different things. So the tooling and the effort that goes into doing that deluxe figure pays off. But if you do a big HasLab item that's fan vote, imagine the fan vote is like Devastator, Primus, Tidal Wave, like all these big ones, right? And then the fan vote happens and Primus wins or something, and then they make that Primus figure, and then they go, "Man, what do we do with this tooling afterwards if no one buys it?" What if it doesn't do well? So it's I don't know. I don't know if HasLab would want to do the fan vote. I think there'll be more fan votes in the future. I mean, think about it this way. Look, we get we do get a fan vote in a sense. We get the Transformer of the Year fan vote through Hasbro, and think about it this: who won last year? Knockout won the fan vote last year. He got voted as like a top character and stuff. And then what happened? He got a brand new legacy figure. He was put in the RED line. So clearly what happens is when those fan votes happen with the best figure of the year or the best character of the year, Hasbro pays attention to that and makes product based on those characters. But it's the deluxe price point. So it's safer. You could do obviously the lockdown was just a repaint retool of Jazz, but you could do that and then it's safer that way. So I mean, we do kind of get a fan vote. It's just not like what it used to be, unfortunately. You know. And I mean, when you look at the fan votes, sometimes I feel it's just me. Sometimes I feel some of them are rigged. I don't know. Some of them it's just like, yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure they made the toy regardless if it was going to win or not. Some of them. But I mean, like, look, they did a fan vote for what was going to be the next G1 reissue. I think it was Skywarp versus Blaster, and the fans voted for Blaster, and then the Blaster got released, and then the Blaster went on insane clearance afterwards. So we'll see how those fan votes go in the future. But I mean, we always have that end of year one that Hasbro does, so I'm pretty sure those in a way will somehow steer the ship indirectly, as I say. Horned Owl. Or even worse, fan vote happens, then a HasLab campaign doesn't succeed. Well, so far, Transformers is 2-2. We've had two Transformer campaigns. Two of them have been successful. One of them dubiously, the Unicron. I still feel maybe some numbers were fudged there, and extending the campaign to make sure that it does happen. Um, but there's a lot. That's a whole other story. But the point is, Transformers has been successful twice with their two campaigns. It's only Star Wars. Star Wars and the what was it? The Cookie Monster. Cookie Monster wasn't successful. I think that was it. Was there any others that weren't successful? I know two different Star Wars ones weren't successful. It was the Rancor wasn't successful, and that lightsaber they tried to do based off of who I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. Um, those weren't successful, but everything else was good. The Cookie Monster wasn't successful, but I mean, you're. I understand. There's people that grew up with Sesame Street. I loved Sesame Street as a kid. Everyone grew up on that. But is there a hardcore adult-based Sesame Street fandom that could supplement a Cookie Monster product. I don't know. That, I think they should have put out like, put out the feelers, put out a couple like one or two mid-tier to high tier, you know, products of Sesame Street and then see if there's an audience for that before they attempted the Cookie Monster. But whatever. I mean, they learned their lesson and they haven't done anything related to that since. Let's put it that way. So that didn't happen. But am I forgetting something? Was there something else that didn't do well? I'm trying to remember. Trying to remember. I don't remember. I think it was just those ones. Everything else was a success. The GI Joe stuff was a success. All the other Star Wars stuff was a success. Andy Davis says, "Howdy y'all." Howdy y'all to you too. Tom Laney, that came out of nowhere. I don't know. Oh, the Cookie Monster came out of nowhere. What, Aaron Archer said something? What did Aaron say? What did Aaron say? Did Aaron say something? Just trying to make sure if Aaron said anything. Aaron's probably drawing right now, just listening to me. That's usually he has to have my stupid voice in the background. Inspiration comes from the words of idiocy. But yeah, you know, I said it on my individual segments. I think it was a Patreon listener question. I still think something like Primus would be the next logical direction. Either that or they do some weird Japanese thing that they feel wouldn't work in the retail market, which if you could do Black Shadow as a leader class and put that in the retail market and you're fine with that. If you could do, I mean, we got a whole bunch of Japanese characters. Look, the Dino cassettes were done as Amazon exclusives, you know? If you could do that stuff for a retail market, you don't need HasLab, for that. So, but yeah, I don't know. I do not know. It's something where I just feel it's something where I feel it has to be a big bombastic item. To me, there's still a lot of weight in those characters, especially like, doing other combiners or doing other big characters. If they could work the budget where they're able to do those characters and, maybe 8,000 backers to 5,000, like Unicron was 8,000 backers. Star, Star Saber was 8,000 backers. You know, do those obscure big city former characters if they have, but if that audience is willing to pay, and as long as it's not too expensive and they're honest with the prices and costs. That's the thing too. If they're honest with the prices and the costs, which, Giants Bleed says here, I think it was, oh, Giants Bleed. Weren't you Elves Bleed originally? I guess you changed your name. Giants Bleeds says, could Lyle Kaiser be a HasLab? They had the trademarks for the Lyle Kaiser stuff. That was during Combiner Wars when I was doing copy. So that stuff is available. Lyozak isn't trademarked, but Yellbat is. Um, Iron Bison is trademarked. Uh, Guy Hawk is trademarked. So they're there. Not all of them, but most of them are there. So I could see that. I could see that happening. As a HasLab though, I could see that just being done as, I see the thing with combiners now is now that we have Menasor and we have, it's like, if Hasbro wants to create this precedent where we have the MPG line, which is the masterpiece, Gestalt combiner stuff, Gestalt Giant Gatai combiner, and then you have the other high-end spectrum, Commander class and Deluxes to make our combiners being a thing, but that means we'll probably only get one a year, as opposed to when we had Combiner Wars, we had multiple a year, which was supplemented by the fact that they repainted the hell out of those limbs. I mean, geez, I think every single Combiner War limb got at least 3 or 4 repaints. So, you know, we will see. We will see. But I mean, I don't know if it would be HasLab. I think HasLab is reserved more for the weird, the weird or something that just doesn't fit in retail. Unicron, anyone who bought Unicron, they saw how big that box is. They'd have to put that in the washing machine section of Walmart or Target or whatever. It's too big. It's too big for stuff like that. David Cabal says Star Wars, HasLab Star Wars had 2 failed projects. Yep. Yep, it was the lightsaber from some character, I don't know who. Not no one that I know, because I don't really keep up with the Disney Plus stuff. I don't care about Disney Plus. Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett is as far as I go. Um, you'll have to give it to me for free before I care. And then the Rancor didn't do well, which was a shame because I love Return of the Jedi and the Rancor and Jedi Knight Luke with the black and the green saber. But I don't have the space and or money to be buying Star Wars Black Series. Too much in my life already for that. So I will leave that up to the hardcore Star Wars fans to take care of that, and I will cheer from the sidelines. Um, Tom Laney says I would still like a updated Monstructor. That would be cool. That'd be cool. And from Monstructor, you could then get Dino King, and then like what Princeton Phalanx 59 says there, then get some Pretenders. I would like Pretenders, but I feel I'm a minority there. I always point out how I got Mister over here. He always stares at me right on the computer. Little metal hawk. I love those. I love Pretenders. I love that stuff. They're my boys. There's all the Pretenders back there. You know, metal like any Master Force stuff or Master Force homages. Sign me up. But there was that interview with Takara Tomy, and I forget who that interview was with. Was that with Kuniharu-san? I forget who the interview was with. I think it was Kuniharu. No, it was Kojin Ono. It was a Kojin Ono interview because they were talking about the next masterpieces. And they were talking with Kojin Ono, and he said how they bring up Pretenders every time, and every time it gets shot down. So it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad when it comes to that.
No matter the
Horned
cost.
Owl is a YouTube member of 15 months now. Thank you, Horned Owl. Horned Owl says, thanks for being awesome, Proto, and everyone here. Well, thank you, Horned Owl, for being a YouTube member for 15 months. Thank you, brother. Minicron Recruit. Giants Bleed, the only combiner I want is Bruticus. We could get a Ruination and Baldigus. I think it was Baldigus. Valdigus, the Japanese with their B's and their V's. I think I remembered it as Valdigus, but yeah, Baldigus could also be true. It's like Vegeta and Vegeta, you know? From Car Robots in the Skies 1.0. Bruticus, honestly, Giants Bleed, I feel is, in my opinion, they did Motor Master and Menasor. The next one is probably, if I had to take a guess, is going to be the Aerial Bots, and then after they do the Aerial Bots, Bruticus will probably be next, unless they want to do Devastator again because of trademark reasons. That's the only other. That's where Devastator has to slide in, but they recently did a Devastator with Studio Series, obviously trademark movie related stuff. So they're going to be good over there for a bit. So I think Bruticus within the next 2 years or 3 years for sure. They're lucky though, because a lot of those Bruticus limbs, those are very good individual characters if they need to do trademarks. Like you could have like a Swindle on his own as a figure. You could have like a Vortex on his own as a figure and not have to be very reliant on a huge combiner aspect for storytelling or even product where, you know, Air Raid, Fireflight, those guys are a little tougher to tell a story individually. The character development isn't really there. And Air Raid's a cool design. I like Air Raid as a design, as an individual transformer, but tell me about his story. Tell me about Slingshot and how great he is. That's the problem with the aerial bots. Silver Bolt's the only trademark that finds its way because of Beast Wars and stuff. JR Mina from the Philippines. What's up, JR Mina? Hey, Proto. I may have to leave the live stream early since I have to go somewhere. Well, you're on the other side of the globe, brother. It's the morning for you. So I have to ask this question. What's for dinner? I picked up pizza from Little Caesars. A little lazy today. was going around all over the place. So I picked up 2 pizzas from Little Caesars. They have their $5 cheapy pepperoni special there. So I picked up 2 pizzas from Little Caesars, some breadsticks. The great thing about Little Caesars pizza is you could have it fresh, eat it, and then you could reheat it, have pizza tomorrow. It's good stuff. I love me pizza, but everyone loves pizza. Who hates pizza? I don't know a person on the planet that hates pizza. Show me a person who hates pizza. And then JR Mina says, more power to the podcast. Thank you, JR Mina. Thank you for being a YouTube member in the green with your G2 sideswipe emblem. Thanks for all the love and support, JR Mina from the Philippines. Enjoy the rest of your day. It might be the night for us, but his day is just beginning. In the Philippines. Horned Owl. Any interest in the TFRPG from Renegade Studios? I'll be game mastering a campaign with some friends. It's gonna be a blast. I might as well say this. Let me just grab this one. So I am not involved with the RPG from Renegade Studios, but I am involved in the deck building game. The new expansion, Dawn of the Dinobots, will be coming out soon. And if you actually open up the instruction manual and go to the back, you're going to see this dummy's name there. And then the next expansion, which I believe is public, I don't want to say the name. There's going to be 5 expansions in total. I'm not going to say the names of the other ones because I don't know what is public and what isn't. But the next expansion, I swear it was someone leaked that out. It was on one of the websites. But Dawn of the Dinobots is the next one. It's going to be coming out soon. I helped with the development of these, all the flavor, text, and everything. It's a TCG trading card kind of thing, or it's thing. So I was brought on with that to help with it in development, choice of characters. So if you don't like the choice of characters, you have to yell at me. Don't yell at Dan and the other crew, Dan Blanchette and them who developed it. You could yell at me because I helped with the character choices, because I felt what could work with a mainstream audience. Because when you have this kind of product at a game store, you might not have hardcore Transformer fans, but you'll have fans that remember Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Soundwave, RC. So you got to go with the Legendary 7 and what I call the second tiers like RC and Jazz and everything. So the next one's going to be Dawn of the Dinobots. Of course, because it's Dawn of the Dinobots, Grimlock is going to be in it, one of the Legendary 7. We're going to have the origin using that Savage Land Shockwave kind of origin story with the Dinobots, and you could play that story and that campaign. And because it's an expansion set, you will be able to have 2-player action with friends and do all kinds of cool stuff. Autobots versus Decepticons. Check it out. Little fun thing that I got to work on behind the scenes and still working on, actually. But check out Dawn of the Dinobots. I believe the pre-orders went up a few weeks ago. And then the next few, I don't want to say the names because I don't know what's public, but the next few are on their way. The RPG I have nothing to do with. That's a different division that actually didn't want anything to do with us, apparently. So I'm just going to leave it at that, So, but yeah. Um, uh, we have, let's see, I missed a few here. Okay, Andy Davis, 16-month member of the YouTube membership. Andy Davis, thank you very much. He asks the question, who has suffered the most brutal death in Transformers? I firmly believe the most brutal death that we've ever had in Transformers, like if us as humans, if we experienced it, right? The most brutal death would probably have to be Thrust from Transformers Armada. So when you think about it, right? Optimus, he got shot and he bled out, and that was, Energon bleed out. So that's pretty brutal. That's pretty painful. When you think about Brawn, he got hit in the shoulder and that exploded, or, like Ironhide was shot but then killed at point blank. So those are all pretty painful when you think about it. But if you saw how Thrust in Armada died, he was slowly crushed by Unicron's gears as all his organs pushed up and he inflated, and it was very painful. Very painful death. Probably easily the most painful death in all of Transformers. So, and it was even more painful in the Japanese dub because they made it sound more gory and they kind of showed a little more. because they cut a little bit in the Western dub of it, but the Eastern version of the Japanese one, there's a little more footage that made it look even more, a little more gruesome. When the bam it just closes, awesome. Armada had a lot of those. Armada had a lot of those, like Smokescreen, aka Grap, shot through the chest. Optimus got killed. I mean, I'm spoiling. Actually, I don't want to spoil. Go and watch that 20-year-old Transformer series. It's out there. T-Formers 2002 with the $5 super chat again. T-Formers 2002. Thank you very much for hooking me up with the Nitro Convoy. T-Formers 2002. Other than a new Monstructor Dino King, I'd love to see a new take on Landcross's set, a combiner concept that hasn't been properly replicated. The closest we ever got to Landcross was Energon with their Super Link gimmick. You know, or they called it Power Linking, but their Super Link Transformers Super Link gimmick. That's the closest we ever got to Landcross, but those individual, you could mix and match anybody. They didn't combine to make a giant robot. So that's about as close as we got. But that would be cool. That would be very cool. Honestly, what I think is if they could somehow, because I have Landcross, I should have brought it over, but that's something where I can imagine. Could you see him? Can you see him? You can't. You can see Star Saber there. Landcross is over there. But Landcross is one of these things. If they could figure out a way to do something with those individual molds, like mock and tackle, right? Like mock the shuttle and tackle the little like dune buggy vehicle. They could figure out a way to turn those into Energon characters and then have that Super Link kind of gimmick going on. That'd be really cool. That'd be cool if they could figure out a way to do that tooling and double dip. Here's Landcross. Oh, you don't like that? Well, then we're going to take the tooling and do this as, Energon characters. Because, hey, those Energon kids that were 5 years old back in 2004 and 2005, they're in their 20s now. So maybe they like those toys. That's one way I could see it. That's one way I could see it for sure. Do that. But, I mean, there's the problem with the obscure Japanese stuff is I just feel that as long as it doesn't cost too much to tool it and there's an escape route, like if you put it out and it doesn't do well, you could go, well, at least we could repaint it, retool it into this that will sell. That's where it's like you're lucky where it's like you could do Star Saber, and if Star Saber doesn't do well, you could repaint, retool it, and there's always all kinds of jets you could have fun with. Apex Armor Jetfire. They could just make some wacky, crazy character out of it based off of a named trademark that has some kind of weight to it, and then you could get away with it. Oh, Star Saber didn't do well? All right, take that Star Saber thing, retool it, and give it a Jetfire looking head on it. Give it the Jetfire colors. Apex Armor Jetfire. We just got the Jetfire trademark refreshed again, and then we could put out that Star Saber mold again. It's stuff like that. They weren't going to put God Jinrai out, but they were going to reissue it and call it Apex Armor Optimus Prime, and then use the roller trademark on it for God Bomber. There's always ways. There's always ways. There's always ways to do things. At least that's how I always see it. But yeah. Let me see what's going on here. One moment, guys. Just want to make sure. There we go. Aiden Tolbert with the super chat for $2. Aiden Tolbert wants to know which Optimus Prime design is your favorite. Ooh, that's a tough one. I really liked I think as time progressed, so I really liked the Laser Optimus Prime design back in the day, like when Beast Wars was around. When Car Robots came around, I loved that Fire Convoy design. I don't know, just fire truck, that shape, the way the silhouette was. I don't know, I really liked Fire Convoy. And the Galaxy Force Cybertron Optimus Prime design. Those are the three Optimus designs I really like. Obviously, the original one's a classic, but I think I'm so tired of it at this point. But I'll have to go with those three. And I don't count God Jinrai Power Master Optimus Prime because that's when I see Power Master Optimus Prime, to me that's God Jinrai. That's God Jinrai. It's Super Jinrai. It's God Jinrai. I almost don't count it as a Optimus Prime design. It has a different origin, different history. So I'm gonna go with Laser Optimus Prime, Fire Convoy, aka Robots in Disguise Optimus Prime, and Superlink Galaxy Force Optimus Prime. If I had to pick one of those three, I'm gonna go with the Galaxy Force Optimus. I really love that original toy. That toy, opening matrix chest, the mouthpiece comes up and down, and if you mess with it, it can look like he's talking to. It had the lights and sounds thing. If you put batteries in, it had the big robot mode. It had the small robot mode. It had the flight mode. It had like a base mode. There's like so much going on that is such a fantastic leader class toy that if you don't have it, find a way. There's so many. There's the original release, the 2-pack release, the Galaxy Force colors, the 2-pack with Costco. I believe they then reissued it again when they did something else with trying to remember. I know they did it a reissue with another version. Trying to remember what was the other version. They did some other Costco release. No, they did it where they put it in universe packaging and it was a 4-pack with Costco. There's so many versions of that old mold out there that you could probably find it affordably somehow. Somehow it's out there. Um I know I had one for sale at the parts party. Someone bought one. I think I sold it for 40 bucks. Canadian. 40 bucks Canadian. Pretty sure I had it at the parts party. Tom Laney. Tom Laney wants to know. I thought Armada's gimmick was bad and Energon was just awful. What was wrong with Armada's gimmick? What is wrong with Armada's gimmick? Are you talking about the Optimus Armada gimmick? I liked it because it's never been done since. Something that transforms, you transform him, and then the trailer auto transforms on its own. I don't know. I thought that was, wizardry. I thought that was pretty cool. It's never been done since. So I thought it was pretty ambitious. I mean, in your opinion, if you don't like, the way that the articulation was, the fact that the bottom half didn't have that because of the gimmick, that's a whole other story. The Energon one, I could kind of feel what you're trying to say. It's kind of a weird design, has a very Voltron kind of feel to it with and the trailer didn't do anything. It's the first time we had an Optimus Prime trailer that really wasn't like a proper base. It was just kind of like, oh, there it is, and has these pieces that kind of just flap out so you could take, it was just like a storage unit. So it was probably the least exciting Optimus trailer. So I could say that it's definitely probably one of the least best Optimus designs. Probably not my least favorite. I don't know. There's probably maybe like an Action Master or something, but Action Master's still G1. Let's see. Tom Laney. I have two and had trouble with both trailers. You had trouble with the trailers. Oh, you're talking about the Armada one? I don't know. I've never had problems with it. You just got to take the batteries out so you don't destroy it with battery leakage. The only issue with Armada Optimus Prime is if you own the American one, it has GPS problems and you're going to break it if you turn it into super mode. That's the big problem more than anything else. Oh, God, we got 20 minutes left in the stream. That's it. Ooh, we're flying today. We are cooking today with the super chats. But I'm trying to think what other Optimus is. Like I'll just go through it. Like you have animated. I love animated Optimus. Nice, cool Derek Wyatt design. Really awesome. War Within. There's War Within right there. War Within with Don Figueroa. Fantastic design. Really cool. Transformers Prime design. That's just a movie design in a lot of ways. That's just been jazzed up a little bit. What else? What else? What else? Obviously the movie designs. Movie designs are pretty cool, but they're the that's American Mecha, as I like to call it. And then that's the problem. See, because the second I go into the new era after 2007, it's all G1 inspired, G1 inspired, no originality. It all ends after 2007 in a lot of ways. Because you could say, oh, I really like I really like that Earthrise Optimus Prime. You mean the G1 inspired Optimus Prime? Oh, I really like that Kingdom Optimus Prime. You mean the G1 inspired Optimus Prime? So no, but War Within, dig that one. What was another good one? They did the Bullet Train from Transformers Go Optimus. That one was pretty cool. That was a train one. What else was good? What else was good? There's a lot of good ones. I don't have the I don't have the any of the third party like weird Optimus designs. Oh, actually, I take that. So you have the Optimus cap, the convoy cap. You have the Optimus Pepsi Optimus. You have because I have all of those. They're all the way over there. You have the PlayStation Optimus. All of those weird ones. You have the shoe one. Where's my shoe one? I had that one recently here. One sec. This is the bootleg one. This is the Megatron one, but this is the bootleg of it. Yeah. Shoe convoy with the laces. These were always fun. These are always fun, these ones. This is the Chinese bootleg of it. It's actually more like a real shoe. It's slightly larger, although you can't wear it. I was doing a photo shoot with that one. I was showing a friend. They were asking me to compare the scale to the original. Tom Laney says the alternators is pretty good. Yep, alternator one is awesome. Yeah, one up there he is. Alternators one is pretty cool too. Now I just screwed up the camera. That's why I should never touch the camera. Oh no, camera's fucking out. Oh well. Um, Laser Optimus is good. There's a lot of cool designs. You know, there's a lot of cool Optimus designs. It's hard to hate on an Optimus design, even when it's bad. It's still decent. You know, I'm trying to see any others. Yeah, any others I'm forgetting. Any others I'm forgetting. You know what's the worst Optimus? Build to Rule Optimus Prime. That's the worst Optimus design. That is an absolutely terrible Optimus design. Build to Rule Optimus from the Build to Rule brick line during the Armada era. There's your worst Optimus Prime toys. With his weird arms. Horned Owl, I see what you did there, Proto. A bootleg of a shoe. Haha, see what you did there. No, I don't know. Oh, bootleg. uh, okay, I get it. Nah, it's because a friend of mine was he's collecting the shoe transformers. The I think they were called Nike Label or something. Um, and he wanted to know if the bootlegs were the same size because he'll just buy the bootlegs if they're the same size. But I was showing him how the bootlegs are slightly larger. Um, but yeah, Aaron Archer says he'll be at TFCon Chicago. So if you want to go to TFCon Chicago and harass Aaron Archer, go to Chicago. Tom Laney, you just showed a bootleg. So how do they make bootlegs and not get shut down? Why is it allowed? Well, the problem is that back in the day, it doesn't happen as much now, but back in the day when China was the prime manufacturer of transformer product, you have to understand those companies that make the transformer products are made in factories that are not owned by Hasbro. They're commissioned by Hasbro. Back in the day in 2000, let's say 2012, that was Jetta Plastics. Jetta Plastics was a Chinese company that Hasbro would get to make their products. So it's not like Hasbro is looming over those staff members and the people that own the factory when they're working on those products. What does that mean? That means that in the off hours, those employees could use those machines, use that product, use that inventory, use those tools to make bootlegs of products that they have the molds and everything accessible to them. That's why you don't see as much bootlegs anymore. Now the bootlegs that you see are more like they're more unique bootlegs. Now like you'll see like it's a watch and it transforms into a transforming Super Mario or something. You see a lot more new like fresh tooling than you see bootlegs. There still is bootlegs, but not as much as it used to be. Back in the day there was tons of bootlegs. Like every single transformer line had some kind of bootleg on it. I remember like I own like a bootleg of Nitro Convoy because there was a bootleg of it out there. Came with like a lenticular trading card, and it like the white was like yellow instead. I'll dig that up. I'll show you some photos when I go into the archive. But there was a bootleg of Cybertron Primus from Cybertron. I that one I posted that photo. Big huge card back. There was bootlegs of Transformers Prime. There was bootlegs of animated. Tons of bootlegs of animated. Those even showed up in Dollarama and Family Dollar. Those animated bootlegs. But it really when they moved to Vietnam, a lot of the bootlegging stopped because Vietnam doesn't really have a bootleg culture like China does. It's very different. So because the factory workers they're not really into that, it's a little different. Tom Laney, why is it that they switched to Vietnam to get away from this? Number one, cost. That was the first reason, because China got too expensive. China started to become too big for its britches, and they were just like, "Well, we want more money. We want more money for what we do." And combined with the fact that there was a insane amount of theft and bootlegging, like I said. So because of the bootlegging, because of the theft, because of all that stuff, um, it ended up in one of these situations where Vietnam was like, "Hey, we'll do it for cheaper. It'll be the same quality. We'll do it for cheaper, and we're not going to steal your stuff initially." There was no stealing initially. And Aaron Archer says, "I did work on toy concepts for that film at Hasbro." For people that aren't aware, Aaron Archer in the chat worked on Transformers on multiple levels. And if you want to hear more about Aaron Archer talking about it, because I'm going to plug it, the Toy Armada with Aaron Archer. Be sure to check out that channel where you could hear me and Aaron talking about the robots in the skies and how they were made from the horse's mouth, from the man who made it themselves. So check that out. Go harass Aaron. Go bug Aaron. But yeah, it's something where the move to Vietnam was mostly a financial reason because it was just cheaper. It's kind of the same way how a lot of clothing used to be made in China, and now a lot of it is made in India today because it's just cheaper. So Horned Owl says to Aaron Archer, "Will you be at a booth or they're just an attendee at TFCon Chicago?" He'll have a booth at TFCon Chicago. I could answer that for him. I would love to stop by and say hi. He will have a booth. Be sure to buy a sketch, buy a print, buy something from him. He'll have a setup. Unfortunately, I will not be there. I would love to be there chilling with him, but I cannot. So he will have to fend for himself in the craziness that is TFCon Chicago. I will be making my grand return next year. Next year for sure, I will be hitting TFCon. They're slowly starting to ease up on the quarantine craziness that's been going on. So even if I do catch something, I won't be in trouble. Let's put it that way. He may have an override print. We'll see about that, Aaron. We'll see. Don't make a promise you can't keep. Don't cash a check. No, don't cut a check you can't cash. We'll see, Aaron. Oh man. Trying to get me to come. But yeah, next TFCon. I don't know what LA will be the next one. I don't know when the next show will be. Heck, I would have been at BotCon this weekend if it wasn't for all the crazy. Like BotCon is happening right now, technically. I would have been there if it wasn't for the border insanity. It's for people that don't understand, like we're still in a situation where if I travel over there, vaccinated or not, it doesn't make a difference. I travel over there. If I catch something, I can't come back. I'm in trouble. They're going to make me quarantine for 2 weeks, comes out of my wallet, and then I miss work. I can't mess with that, man. I can't. That's why when people came to TFCon, if they noticed I was wearing a mask a lot of the time in my own country. Why? I didn't want to make the American visitors get sick. Didn't want to risk it. Did not want to risk it. You know, did not want to risk it. But we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Got too much. I can't get sick and then lose time at work. It's too busy right now, especially around the time when that's going to happen, when probably early winter tires are going to be switched and everything. Can't risk it. Cannot risk it. Too much money to be made. I don't. This isn't my day job, guys. You know what I mean? This isn't how I make money. I actually have to go out in the world and slave like the rest of you, 9 to 5, 8 to 5 in my case, but I wish it was 9 to 5. Um, but yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. I just hope that BotCon did well. I know it had a bit of an uphill battle in terms of PR and everything like that, but I hope it did well. That way they could continue doing it. I hope it was a financial success. I know that there was a cool exclusive at Mega Toy Fans table. He had this little Starscream figure. That was pretty cool. I actually hope it didn't sell out. That way I could get one. Hey, Brett, could you get me a Mega Toy Fan exclusive from your table? I like collecting your Mega Toy Fan exclusives. Even though they're not official, they're still cool. Um, but yeah, it is what it is. Horned Owl says he will definitely stop by and say hi and support his work, as you should. Aaron always brings cool stuff. Get a commission done, get some art done. Aaron also sometimes brings toys. He'll usually get samples and stuff like that. I know he brought a whole bunch of BotCon stuff. Aaron, bring that BotCon stuff. The BotCon stuff that you had, bring all of those again. He had a whole bunch of BotCon exclusives that he doesn't need. You know, Tom Laney, too expensive in big city. Well, that the problem with BotCon from my perspective, I still would have went, but I do agree for a lot of people, like it was really pricey, that hotel room. Like when I saw like $800 for the weekend as a Canadian, $800 American is a lot of money. That is an exchange rate that is going to burn my butt. And when I'm, and then I catch something, right? And then I lose 2 weeks of work. Oh man, ugh, forget about it. So we'll see. We will see. Next BotCon, when we're in a new world, maybe everything's okay. Then everything will be perfect. Mikey with the super chat for $5. Thank you, Mikey, for the super chat. We're in the close soon, so get your super chats in, peeps. Um, in our perfect world, there would be a Transformers Small Soldiers crossover. How can we make that a reality? Well, answer me this, because I actually don't know this. Who owns the trademark and rights to Small Soldiers? Who made the Small Soldier toys initially? Was that Kenner? Was that Hasbro? Was that Mattel? Who did those? And then from that, then you would know if that could be a reality. Who owns the rights to it right now? That's where you got to start. That's the most important thing, the business aspect of it and legal. We'll follow up your answer when we find out that one. Tom Laney, it's not a big drive for me in Ohio. Well, that's good then. See, if you could drive it down, go for the day and come back, that's better. But I mean, guys, like I mean, I did the hotel room like just for fun. I was trying to see. It's like 800 bones, man. So like, kudos to you guys that are able to go. I still would have gone, but I don't want to go with the risk of not being able to come back. That's my problem. You know, when Canada is normal with the borders again, then we'll be cool. Like that's my big issue. You know, Hasbro did them, Aaron. Okay, so then it could be done. I didn't know Hasbro did Small Soldiers. Okay, wonder if that was successful for them. If that was a boon, because Small Soldiers is so niche as a movie. It's a good movie, but it was very niche. Kind of trying to play on that Toy Story success in a lot of ways. So if Hasbro did it and the whoever owns the rights to it, obviously it's a movie studio, if they're willing to kind of gel and do business again, I mean, I don't think the crossover will happen because it's not in the current pop culture zeitgeist like a Ghostbusters or A-Team or a Top Gun or Knight Rider or what was another one? Obviously, like Back to the Future or X-Men. I mean, Small Soldiers was kind of it's here and then it's not here. So yeah, I don't think it'll happen, but I could tell you the good news that if they wanted to make it happen, at least the red tape is a little less around the neck than it normally is. Um, and on the episode of the Toy Armada, Aaron Archer says the toys did better than the movie in sales. Uh, last of the traditional film FX type films. Yeah, that is true. He had used a lot of stop motion for that one. What year was that? That was 2000, eh? Like 2001 or something. I remember like it was one of the last VHSs. I remember that because I remember Zellers when Zellers was still a thing. Think Target but Canadian. Zellers, like their VHS section as it was shrinking and shrinking when DVDs were starting to become more a thing. I remember Sonic the Hedgehog the anime, a VHS, and Small Soldiers were like some of the last VHSs I remember. What was that? That was like 2001, no? But yeah, man, Small Soldiers, that's something, you know what? I feel it has more of a chance crossing over with G.I. Joe. Like have like a Chip Hazard G.I. Joe 3 1/4 figure. That would be more of a reality. Have a G.I. Joe Chip Hazard, G.I. Joe Small Soldiers crew. I could see that. That'd be pretty cool. And would probably make more sense when you think about it. Chip Hazard really was kind of a G.I. Joe kind of character. And the opposite of that is like kaiju, kind of kaiju characters. Tom Laney, thanks Proto for all you do. Enjoy the rest of your weekend later all. Well, thank you Tom Laney for stopping by and enjoying the live stream and being a YouTube member. We got 4 minutes left. Get your super chats in with the 4 minutes we got left, and then we'll call it an evening. Really good stuff. Yeah, 2001. That's what I thought because I remember it being one of those last VHSs, and VHSs like they stopped in 2001. 2001 was really when VHSs started to become extinct. I just remember that. But I will say one thing: Small Soldiers toys today they go for very good money. I know that. I remember my friend Robbie. Shout out the Plastic Junkie. Um, Local Montreal toy collector. He had a whole bunch of them. He was selling his personal collection, and I remember seeing the prices on his table, and I was like, "What? You asking like $50 for this?" And it was like loose, right? And he's like, "Daniel, you have no idea. These go for crazy money on eBay." And I was like, "Oh, really? Really?" And so they actually go for pretty decent coin. Pretty decent coin. Mikey. But yeah, who knows? Yeah, GI Joe I think would probably be the more logical direction in a lot of ways because like Transformers is very vehicle to humanoid, and Small Soldiers you'd have to take their vehicles and turn that, but are those vehicles identifiable enough in pop culture to then make that transition? That's where like you have DeLorean Transformer, iconic vehicle, Transformer robot mode. So you have to kind of have that kind of thing. I think the only one that kind of falls flat is, like obviously the Top Gun one. It's a F-13, so it's more because it's a jet, if anything else. But you know, and then of course the X-Men one, they retooled the hell out of Jetfire for the X-Men. What was it called? The Expanse, the Expanse crossover. That one was pretty cool. But yeah, yeah. I guess that's it. That's it more or less. That's it more or less, guys. We talked about black repaints. We talked about Hasbro and their business. We topped out at 170 people, according to my analytics here. 170 people we had today. We had a few Hasbro people chilling. We had some good super chats. We had some awesome stuff. I think we're going to call it quits because it doesn't look like we got any other super chats for the rest of the night. So we're coming up on 10 o'clock. So, guys, it's been fun. As always, thanks again for all the love and support. And yet again, another Saturday night hanging out and talking about Transformers. Once again, if you want to help support the podcast, if you like what we do here, and you want to support more, again, we have Patreon down there. It's in the link that'll be in the replay of this segment in the description below. So you could join Patreon and help support the podcast a little more. If Patreon is not your thing, you could join the green names over there in the chat with the YouTube membership, and you could hit that join button instead and be a YouTube member. You get ask all the questions to your heart's content. But if you want Patreon, Patreon's the better one too, because you also get the Discord, you get all the name scroll and everything. Each one gives its own benefits and advantages. Some people have both of them. I have some YouTube people that have both Patreon and YouTube membership, so that's pretty hype also. But it is what it is. Anyways, guys, thanks for all the love and support. Thanks again for yet again another awesome Saturday night podcast, Transformers Slag podcast, Saturday night live stream, main event. I'm Proto Man. Take care of yourselves. It's a crazy world out there, but ignore the insanity. Remember what I always say, this is very important. Twitter isn't real. Ignore Twitter, ignore the drama. Enjoy life. Go hug your family. Go take care of your friends. Enjoy life. And as always, roll out. Love you guys.